At some point, you realize something uncomfortable. You're not stuck because life is hard. You're stuck because your standards are low, not publicly, not intentionally, but in the moments that matter, you allow things to slide. You delay, you negotiate, you make exceptions. And those small exceptions, they're not small. They're shaping your identity. Because every time you say, "It's fine, I'll do it later," you're casting a vote for the version of you that doesn't follow through. And over time, that version becomes permanent. That's the danger, not failure, tolerance. Because what you tolerate, you normalize, and what you normalize becomes who you are. So if you're constantly allowing excuses, you don't just have excuses, you become someone who needs them. Now here's the shift. There comes a point where you stop negotiating. Not because things get easier, because you get clearer. You decide, no more. Not emotionally, not temporarily, structurally. This is your no excuses era, and it doesn't mean perfection, it means alignment. Because excuses only exist when your actions don't match your standards. Close that gap, and excuses disappear. But most people never do this. They keep their standards vague. I'll try my best. I'll see how I feel. I'll do it when I can. That sounds reasonable. It's not. It's a loophole, a built-in escape. So when things get hard, you take it, without even thinking. That's why you stay stuck. So the first shift, define non-negotiables, not goals, standards, things you do. Regardless of mood, time, or circumstance, you don't try to work out. You train. You don't aim to be productive. You execute your top task. Because when something is non-negotiable, it removes choice. And when choice is removed, excuses lose power. Now here's where most people struggle. They think no excuses means extreme discipline. It doesn't. It means extreme clarity. Because if your standards are unrealistic, you will fail, and then you'll justify it. So the second shift, make your standards strict, but achievable, not easy, but realistic enough that you can execute daily. Because consistency builds identity, and identity is what removes excuses long term. Now listen carefully, because this is where excuses actually start. Not in action, in thought, before you skip, before you delay. There's a sentence in your mind. I'm tired. I'll do it later. Today doesn't matter. That's the moment. That's where the battle is, not when you've already stopped. So the third shift, catch the excuse early. The second you hear that voice, you act immediately. No debate, no analysis. Because the longer you think, the stronger the excuse becomes. And once it feels justified, you've already lost. Speed beats excuses every time. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need better strategies. You already know what to do. You just don't always do it. Why? Because your environment allows excuses. Distractions are easy. Comfort is accessible. Accountability is low. So when resistance shows up, you escape, not consciously, automatically. So the fourth shift, remove your escape routes, make distractions harder, make comfort less convenient, put friction in the way of your excuses. Because if it's easy to quit, you will, eventually. But if quitting is harder than continuing, you stay in the game, and staying in the game is everything. Now here's where identity shifts. Most people see themselves as trying. I'm trying to be disciplined. I'm trying to improve. That language is weak because trying allows failure. So the fifth shift, stop identifying as someone who tries. You don't try, you do, or you don't. And in a no excuses era, you do. That's it, because once you remove the middle ground, you remove the excuse. Now here's the part people don't like. You will still feel resistance. You will still feel tired, unmotivated, distracted. No excuses doesn't remove difficulty. It removes your permission to avoid it. So the sixth shift, separate feeling from action. You can feel anything, but you still execute. Because your feelings don't define your behavior, your standards do, and once that becomes your default, you stop waiting to feel ready. You just move. Now the final shift, and this is what makes it sustainable. Most people think no excuses means being hard on yourself. Constant pressure, constant intensity, that doesn't last. So they burn out, and then they fall back into old patterns. So the seventh shift, hold the standard, but drop the drama. You don't need guilt, you don't need self-criticism, you need consistency. You missed something? You correct it, immediately, no story, no emotion. Because discipline isn't emotional, it's structural. Now step back, look at your life honestly. Where are you allowing excuses? Where are you negotiating? Where are you saying, it's fine, when you know it's not? Because that's the gap, and that gap is the difference between who you are and who you could be. Close it, and everything changes, not overnight, but permanently. Because once you enter a no excuses era, you stop asking, do I feel like it? You stop saying, I'll do it later. You stop negotiating with yourself. You become someone who executes, quietly, consistently, without needing external pressure, and that's rare. Because most people will keep making excuses, they'll keep justifying delay, they'll keep choosing comfort, and they'll keep wondering why nothing changes. But you made a decision, not to be perfect, but to be aligned. And once you're aligned, excuses don't fit anymore. So the question is simple. Will you keep tolerating the same patterns, or will you step into a standard that doesn't allow them anymore? Because one keeps you comfortable, the other changes who you are. Choose carefully, because your future isn't decided by your intentions, it's decided by what you no longer allow. If this changed your perspective, subscribe, because the next video might change your life.